Okay, Bismillah. I had an insight which I had to turn into this video as soon as I had it, which is this. We all have periods of low consciousness. That is life. That is what it means to be human. We have low moods, low consciousness. We go through troughs where we are not ascending to our highest ideal, not living in the way that we should, and we know how we should live. If you have an ideal, if you have an intention, of course you have that compass guiding you. But the truth is, every human being has an inbuilt compass, an inbuilt GPS system. No matter how supposedly unenlightened or uneducated they may appear to be, everyone has an inner sense of what, at least how they should be aligning themselves. And now you are most probably upon the spiritual path watching this video. Well, then your greatest struggle is with low consciousness. The days where you are simply not feeling spiritual, the hours in which you are not feeling spiritual, the hours of negligence or ignorance falling away. Because with the right intention, the right energy, the right motivation, when the stars align, anyone will have a spiritual experience. This is the greatest trap in spirituality. Seeking highs, seeking the spiritual experience. Anyone can have a spiritual experience. That is easy. Anyone. Someone who has no idea about spirituality, if you put them in the right situation, of course, they can have an amazing, intense spiritual experience, enlightenment experience. They can attain to true gnosis. That is not the purpose of spirituality. If you just want to be spiritual in a very airy sense, to be spiritual now and again, fair enough. But spirituality, the spiritual path, is not just about having an experiential state. It is not about a state. States are meaningless. It is about having a stage, a station, grounding yourself deeper in being. Not just having a state of consciousness, but your entire consciousness being transformed. Is that not the true purpose of the spiritual path? That when we walk it, we are changing. Our very identity is changing. It is deepening. Understanding this, the work is not about chasing highs. It is not about going higher and higher and higher. The work is not there. The work is here. The work is not with the peak. It is with the trough. When you are low, that is the work. The work, the entire work, is to raise the baseline level of your consciousness. Raising your baseline consciousness by 5% is more profound than having an experience which blasted by 100%. Far, far, far more profound and deeper. To change your baseline level, think of it like this. If you have a 100% increase in consciousness in a mystical experience, which lasts for minutes, maybe hours, maybe days, compare that to increasing your entire baseline of consciousness, which is your entire being. Imagine that. And of course, this is an exponential effect. Once you can start to increase your baseline level, it will get higher and higher and higher. That is therefore the entire work. Not about peaks at all. It is about the low parts. When you are in this low mood, that is exactly where the work is occurring. Understanding this, And if you understand this, you've attained to a spiritual maturity, which few people realize in their entire lives, even on the spiritual path. But this is a true maturity. It is a true awakening to realize this. Do not chase high states. Do not chase peak experiences. Chase being itself. Chase raising your ground state. That is the most important. Then the work is this. How do I become more conscious? Let us say, I understand this. Let us say, moreover, I have a high degree of mindfulness, of self-reflexivity, of self-examination, and self-investigation. So I know that I have awoken and I am not in a good spiritual mood today. I have fallen away. I have slipped off the course. I have sinned. Right? And this is again a very mature state. This is very mature, very high level. And this is the real beginning of the spiritual path. When you realize this, when you attain to constant watchfulness over yourself. In fact, of any path, even the path of self-improvement, the path of becoming an athlete or an entrepreneur, it must begin with this, a high degree of self-investigation and self-criticism. You really see yourself, you see your life, and therefore you can change your life, change yourself. So you have that. Again, you realize that you are low down. This takes a lot of emotional work to realize, but you know that. You know when you are up, you know when you are down. You can look beyond your emotions in that state. And in a higher degree of self-reflexivity, simply look upon yourself and know that, look, my ego today is very strong. My ego is very restless at the moment. With an unconditioned and non-judgmental eye of the heart, to look upon your mind and to see that I am very angry or I am very upset. Right? This is the first step. This is the ground, the foundation of the spiritual path. This is a very high degree, a very high level to attain. It's very high. Very few people actually do this. Most people mislead themselves and delude themselves. But if you have attained to that level, all you must do now is realize how to wake up. Your entire work now is in that low state, how to become conscious and actually wake up. How do I really get rid of sadness or depression? What is the real way to do this? Well, how do I really actually deal with my problems, deal with my anger, deal with my frustration? How do I actually become less ignorant, less judgmental? To actually be spiritual, I'm here, I'm in my room, I've created time and space. I have an hour, 2 hours blocked out for meditation. How do I actually meditate? What is it that I should actually do? These are advanced questions. If you are asking them, you are far more advanced than most people who have never asked the question. They just praying, and they have no idea what they're praying for. They have no idea how to even pray because they are too, listen to this, arrogant to have learned that. Most people are too arrogant, especially spiritual seekers. They're the most arrogant people in the world. Too arrogant to learn how to meditate, how to pray, how to breathe, and therefore they squander their entire lives. No, these are good questions which you should be asking. How do I actually do spirituality? How do I actually meditate? How do I actually deal with my problems? Actually, I want to really do this. I want to see real improvement, real outcome, real movement in the spiritual path. I don't want to stagnate. I do not want to delude myself. This is the systematic approach to spirituality. Mysticism is not enough. Mysticism must be paired with metaphysics, right? As the old adage goes, mysticism without metaphysics is blind. Metaphysics without mysticism is empty. One must have both. Mysticism is like the wine, the Gnostic wine which makes you drunk upon God. Metaphysics is the cup. And how strange that most people seek the wine who have not yet built the cup. First make you your cup, then bring the cup to drink. But do not come to drink empty-handed. The greatest mistake people make. Build the structure while you before you look for the drink, and I actually won't say before per se, they're hand in hand, right? You get something to drink, and you realize, okay, I've become awakened. I need more. I need more. I'm becoming addicted to this. Then you bring a bigger cup next time. The next time you realize I don't want a cup, I want an entire truck or a lorry full of this, whatever it is. Then you realize, no, I just want to live here. I want to build a house next to this lake. But there is always a drinking and a building. The mystical experience, the metaphysical systematization. See, most people have no idea about this. They have no idea that systematic metaphysics is needed for spirituality. This may come from a teacher. If you are not an abstract thinker, you are not a philosopher, you don't want to be very systematic, that can come, it can, from someone else. However, right, listen to me, it probably won't in our day and age. This was a different era, a different time, where people would be happy to literally serve at the feet of a spiritual master. We can no longer do that. Maybe you can, but probably not, right? Especially if you're growing up now in the West. Of course not. That it doesn't even exist to us. The idea of serving, let alone serving a human being, does not exist in our mind whatsoever. There is so much mental baggage to that concept that, as I said, it's probably impossible that you can do that, at least fully. So to some degree, it is going to be necessary for you to build your system for spirituality. But anyway, let us dive into this, right? What is the problem and what is the solution? Let me give you an analogy. Let us suppose that you are drowning. What is the problem with drowning? Just swim up and breathe. Well, the act of drowning, the act of not having air to breathe, saps you of energy, the very energy which you need to swim up to breathe. And the more you are drowning, the more you are sapped of energy, the less energy you have to spend to not drown. So do you see it's a compounding effect? And the more you sink down in a state of panic, the harder it becomes to even swim back up. So you're sinking down, you're losing energy. It becomes harder and harder and harder and then impossible to swim back up. Now, this is quite a morbid example. However, it's something that we have all experienced as human beings. Because there are many forms of drowning, and most people live their entire life drowning. Most people are drowning in this ocean that we call the world. People are drowning in their jobs. People are drowning with their mortgages. People are drowning with their friends, with family, with relationships. People are drowning with anxiety, with trauma. Most people live their entire lives drowning in a state of panic, trying to kick and go back up. And the more they exert, the deeper and deeper they fall down. And of course, here's the tragedy of the situation. If they were given just a tiny bit of air, just a bit, if life could just let up, if the sea could just stop storming for 1 minute, so I could at least just get a small gulp of air, that might kickstart the process, give them the small burst of energy they need to rise up. That is the tragedy. You know, there are people who kill themselves, commit suicide, who said that if one person smiles at me today, I won't do it. It's all it took. If one person, how hard is that? How hard? There's thousands, tens of thousands of people we will walk by every day if you live in a city. One person to give attention, one smile. That's all it took. And the world could not even give them that. That is the greatest tragedy of this world, of this life. And it's been that way for millions of years and is not going to change now. That is the sad and brutal truth. If you're waiting for that pause, for the storm of life just to stop for a bit, for one small breath, well, don't wait. Don't wait, or you will die in your waiting. Of course, if that would happen, no one would drown. This wouldn't be the state of humanity. This would not be the state of our lives. But that is the supposedly unfair situation about it. Those who aren't drowning, those on the shore are having the time of their life. They can breathe as much as they want. They can walk, they can run, they can sing and shout. Because the more they breathe, the more breath they have with which to breathe. Those who have will have more. Those who have little will have even that little taken away from them. How brutal and how miserable. How dreadful. But it is the world. We have to understand the principle for that. Why? Why does that happen? Is God evil? Is God brutal? Does God not care? Why? We must understand. But here's another analogy. If one is stiff all the time, if one, is at work, they don't have an ergonomic setup, they have a bad posture, they become stiff. That bad posture, that stiffness compounds upon itself, creates bad health. When you have bad health, it becomes harder to exercise. It becomes harder to exercise because if you do one day try to break out of the cycle and exercise or to stretch, you will find what? You will find pain, and no one likes pain. Again, the horrible truth, but those who are healthy, those who are running around and they have good fit bodies, it's easier for them to exercise. It's more pleasurable. If you stretch, stretching just a bit opens up the muscles and you can stretch even deeper. Those who don't need to have it and have it even more. Whereas those who want it can't have it. If you want to become loosened, you have to stretch. But you can't stretch down all the way. You have to do a small bit. But doing the small bit opens up the possibility to go even deeper. Right? Doing a small amount of exercise opens up the possibility to do more exercise. Having just one small gasp of air opens up the possibility to deep, even breather, right? Deep breath leads to deep breath. Stretching leads to deeper stretching. Having the thing deepens you in that thing. And the solution is this. If you are drowning, to stop panicking, stop flailing around and acting in a way which is actually causing you to sink down. Pause. Pause and try to become calm, as hard as it is. If you need to exercise, if you need to stretch, you have to similarly find that point of minimal action. Finding the point of minimal action is the absolute essence of the work. And going to the gym for half an hour, if you have not been working out, is probably far, far, far too much. Right? What did I say? Most people are arrogant and also ashamed. And those two go hand in hand. Shame, self-hatred, and arrogance. They are twin brothers and sisters. To do something, you must always find this magical threshold, which is called the principle of least action, right? The minimal action, the smallest thing that you can do, and that is where you start. Because then, by definition, it will be easy to do. You think, well, this is a waste of time, but no. Because even the smallest stretch will allow you to deepen into that stretch the next time. Even the smallest brisk walk around your house, around the block, will open up the possibility to do a bit more. Right? I don't just mean physically. I mean that you will literally experience a change in consciousness. You are at home, you're on the couch, you don't want to go out. No one does. It's raining, it's miserable outside. No one wants to go out and do a 5K run. However, leaving the house and just taking a walk. Not just that, I'm going to take a walk to actually appreciate it. I'm going to actually get something out of it. There's reason to do it. It's a small walk, 5 minutes. Or if that's too much, even just going and standing outside, right? Just standing in front of the door, breathing for a bit, looking, appreciating being outside. If you do that and you stand outside, in your standing outside, you will experience a change in consciousness. You will literally become a new mind, which completely recalibrates your perspective. How you felt indoors is going to be completely different to how you feel inside. Another analogy. I'm not going to go to the gym today. I'm too tired to work out. But what I am going to do is put my gym clothes on and just walk or jog to the gym and then come back. Right? I've done this, by the way. I have done this. And of course, once you arrive at the gym, and I was not planning to go inside, but you are literally a new mind. You become something new. A new state of consciousness is activated inside of you where suddenly you actively desire to go inside and to do something, whereas you actively did not desire to do that just 10, 20 minutes ago. Or you go to the gym, you say that I'm going to have a light workout because I'm sick, I'm tired, completely fine. But when you start the light workout, you just do, half of what you can normally do. In doing that, you experience a new state of consciousness, which actually the new you wants to do that, which the old you did not. Do you see? These are basic examples, but you have to deeply understand them. Do you see that what you think you want and don't want, your state of being, is actually very contingent? And you are not that. You are not how you feel. The I is really, really far, far deeper than what I think. Hmm. The micro action is the action. It enables one to deepen into that. This is a great wisdom for life itself. Those who succeed in life, they are them who understand this principle and apply it. And it is a sad, sad truth that we are not taught this principle. In fact, we are actively denied it. To be conspiratorial, yes. Yes, we are actually The truth is hidden from us. It is not just that we are not taught this in school, in university, by our parents, by our religious leaders, by our politicians. Even more, they want to hide this truth, except those who are true and pure, which exist, but they are little, and they are few. But this is a deep truth. And therefore, as I said, there are deep paradoxes to reality. Most people live lives of desperation, of frustration. Most people do not get what they want in life. Most people put a lot of work in. They sacrifice huge sacrifices. They work grievously, but they don't see the outcome of their work. And that is because most people do not understand life. And this is the tragedy. It is not that life is somehow horrible or horrid. It can seem like that. It can seem brutal and horrible and terrible. But it is not God who is the source of our misery. It is we. We are the source of our own misery because we do not understand God. We have no idea. Even people who think they worship God have no idea what or who God is. They have no idea, which is the strangest thing. To have been saying God, God, God for 70 years and never actually thought, what is it that I am speaking? What or who, what is that? Hmm. People do not understand life. In fact, people believe life has no meaning. So of course you're lost if you believe that. Life is random chance. Of course you'll be lost if you believe that. People have no understanding of reality. Reality is a random bundle of laws which just somehow came to be, right? And by the way, very important here is even supposedly successful people don't understand. Yes, they are billionaires who understand the material reality, but they're only wealthy in matter. Do you see what I'm saying? So even those people who seem to be winning at life are only winning in one plane of existence, a plane which is very shallow, very temporary, and will very soon end for us all. There is more to life than that. There really is. There is much, much more to life than matter, much more to existence than matter. So it's really important for us to understand that because we want to win at life, right? Not just, but you want to win holistically. You want to really win, right? You don't want to beat the first level and fail at everything else. Hmm. So it is important. The beginning of the work is to understand reality. The beginning of the work is to understand the structure and nature of existence. And that is the foundation of everything which shall follow. And it is this. I won't go into the whole thing now. That's exactly what my channel is trying to do. So do watch my other videos. In particular, I encourage you to watch the lecture series on the unity of becoming. But you must understand some metaphysics. Right? If you want my personal opinion about where all of people are going wrong, where society is going wrong, where civilization is going wrong, where life is just going wrong. I can't give the full picture, but I think a huge part of it is this: a lack of knowledge, real knowledge, deep knowledge about existence itself, metaphysics. I'm not going to go into that here, as I just said, but I will leave you with a few important words which you should know. A few fundamental facts and features about reality. Number one, You must think from first principles. And that requires understanding that there are principles. Reality is not arbitrary. It is not random. It is not a bundle of processes. But there are fundamental principles, patterns, resonances, and archetypes which underlie all of existence. Everything which happens and comes to be has emerged from a deeper structure, a deeper truth. And all of reality is this lattice or this cascading hierarchy of deeper and deeper and deeper truths. The deepest truth, which is truth itself, with a capital T. That is what we mean by God, which is also the oneness of being. Right, here's a magical equation for you to memorize and to know and to understand. God equals being, which equals consciousness, which equals oneness. All four of these words are exactly the same. God, being, consciousness, oneness, life. Right? They are all one and the same. So you must, again, these are words, but you really need to understand that. You need to understand that viscerally. You must feel it in your bones. You have to seek out understanding of the fundamental principles of existence with everything that you have inside of you. There's an absolute principle, but there are also many fundamental principles which underlie everything else. You have to study that. You have to really study that. Whatever you are trying to do in life, you must begin with an understanding of principles. Number two, systems thinking. Not only is reality this hierarchy of deeper and deeper principles and truths, but all of reality, all of existence is one interconnected, organic, living whole. Every part of this whole is related to every other part. So you must think holistically. You can never, ever, ever divide a problem down to a detail. You must always synthesize. More important than analysis, which has its place, is synthesis. And this is where modern Western civilization really fails. We are a very analytic civilization, but we are not synthetic. We are very good at dividing things down and finding out about atoms and subatomic particles and quarks and strings. We are very good at dividing down material reality, but we are not good at understanding the big picture. We create divisions, but we do not synthesize and unify. Holistic, systematic thinking is absolutely necessary. Right? Most people do not do this. Hence, that is why most people are failing. Most people are living lives of desperation because of this lack of knowledge. Here's another few words. All of existence is a fractal. A fractal is a pattern which contains itself. It is a self-repeating pattern. All of existence is fractalic. This means that the part contains the whole. So there is a holographic principle at play here, which is that you don't need to go and explore the entire whole. Yes, I said, you must think holistically, but the whole, if it is contained in the part, the right part, means that you have to find the right part. You can't know everything. You cannot be everyone. You cannot go everywhere. But you can go to the center. Right? It is about going to the center. because that central point is the part which contains the whole, the drop that contains the ocean, the seed which contains the forest. That is what you must seek, and where you must be. A last word pertaining to the organic, living nature of reality is this. Reality is a cybernetic system. That means that what you do, or the outcome of your action, influences the action. Think of it like this: shooting a target. I fire a shot, I see where it lands. Seeing the outcome of the shot, I reorient the shot itself. So the output of my action feeds back into my action. And now can you see how all of this was at play in drowning, or in stretching, in health, in everything, in fact? Clearly, they are, for example, cybernetic. How you breathe determines the next breath. My first breath has an output. It affects me. That effect then determines the next breath. So each breath breathes in upon itself. It is a self-reflexive, self-referential system. And I will allow you to think about the other principles at play here. But hopefully it starts to open up that you must understand reality very, very deeply, and your understanding of reality will then open up your deepening into reality. Thus, let us actually end with some very practical advice about how to implement this. Now, hopefully from this, as well as from other videos, you understand that the entire work is a work to become more conscious, more aware, more present, and mindful. That is everything. Don't worry about the other outcomes that you want. All of those outcomes will be generated by this one singular input, which is consciousness. The only thing that you must seek in life, the only thing which you must cultivate is this: it is consciousness. To be conscious, this consciousness is nothing other than being itself. And only being can beget being. Only breathing can allow me to breathe. So I want to become conscious. I want to be more conscious. I want to raise my level of consciousness. I want to move out of this low period that I am in. I want to align myself with the ideal and live that ideal. How then can I do that? Well, I must begin with the very thing that I want to actualize. How paradoxical. I must begin with the end that I want to create. Well, again, here is the resolution to that paradox. If you have truly understood this and internalized this, you will perhaps understand that, well, there is a way out of this conundrum, which is, yes, begin with the end, but not the whole end, a part of it, a simple, minimal part that you can do now. You have a vision of a conscious life of enlightenment. Enlightenment, a state, an experience which is completely deep, infinitely deep, absolutely total. Begin with what you can do. Begin with that singular central pivot which will emanate and give rise to the rest. What is the seed of enlightenment? What act shall generate further actions which shall open you up into enlightenment consciousness? And that is what we must seek. In fact, that is the only thing that we must seek. Because when you do these micro actions, they are going to generate a new state of consciousness, like my going outside, stepping outside the house. Doing so, now I'm outside, or maybe I've driven out into the country, into a beautiful scenic location. My standing there is a new me. I experience a new state of consciousness, which opens me up to a knowledge which I did not know before. It gives me a new breath, a new life, a new spirit with which to act which I had not before. This is essential, doing such actions which engender a new state of being, which will then give rise into deeper states of being. That which is in a compounding, an exponential effect. So the entire work is to set up systems of consciousness. Right? Systems in your life which make you more conscious. That is the entire work. What systems can you build in your life which shall make you more conscious? Hmm. Well, here's a deeper answer to that question. The work is self-referential, and this pertains to the infinite and fractalic structure of reality. Consciousness is generated by the very act of seeking to generate consciousness. Read that again and listen to it again. Feel it. Don't just try to logically analyze it. Hmm. Another way to put that is this. The intention, my intending to be conscious, is itself consciousness. Just the inner act of alignment of wanting to become conscious is itself leading to consciousness. So in a very real sense, the intention is the seed of the action. The action very really shall come out of the seed. In Arabic, this is articulated by the two poles of ilm and amal. Ilm gives rise to amal. Work, right? Energetic work is literally generated by knowing. By consciousness is what I really mean. Or in Greek, the idea of theoria and praxis. Theory is actually seeing. Theory is not just knowing something theoretically high up in your mind. No, theory in Greek means witnessing, means to literally see. Because what happens when I go out and I step outside of my house, or I drive up to the top of a mountain or to a hill, looking over the trek which I have had intended? My actually seeing, looking down upon the landscape, enthuses me and infuses me with a new spirit and a new life and a new energy which I had not before. It literally creates an energy. It creates a momentum which naturally, on its own accord, leads into that action. And I go down and start the walk because I now have a new spirit of beauty which is impelling me. Or I go to the gym. Inside the gym, there is a new energetic presence, a new spirit which is motivating me and moving through me, and I want to work. I feel the art of the work. I see that it is beautiful. I see the act of putting my body into alignment in these postures, in in these modes of being, in these exercises. It is a beautiful thing to do. Right? You know exactly what I mean, don't you? It feels good. It feels right, symmetrical. It's wholesome. It is aligning. It gives life. You feel alive when you do that. You want to do that work. That feeling when you want to work is the greatest feeling in all life. Wanting Being motivated, wanting to do something and doing the thing is the greatest feeling you will have in life. It's far, far better than resting or having time off. We love creativity more than anything else. We as human beings are creative. We are forces of creativity. And so, to answer the entire question over our journey, how do you create consciousness? What is the systematic approach to spirituality? Well, I can't give you the entire answer, but it is this. It means creating a system in exactly this sense over here, creating a system of life, creating a system of a mental system of how to think, a physical system of how to be, an ergonomic and economic system of how to live life, how to live inhabit your daily routine, your mornings, your evenings, a system which is completely reflexive and total and holistic, which covers every possible ground of being. That is the Ennead, which am speaking about on my channel now. That is the Enneadic system, which I'm trying to develop. If you learn these principles and you apply them into your life, you will have that. But again, you might not be satisfied. You might be thinking, no, no, I wanted real practical answers. Here are a few. Small acts of ritual. Acts which you can do in 30 seconds. Acts which are the equivalent of walking outside, right? Being in your room to going outside creates a huge shift in your consciousness. It creates a huge energetic shift. What are the most fundamental, irreducible, such actions that you can do within yourself? Those actions which even lead to the physical actions of going. What can you do here right now, sitting where you are? This is where a deep understanding of the body and the mind comes in. There are certain yogic actions that you can do. For example, how you sit. Literally sitting properly creates consciousness. If I sit like this and I'm all hunched over, it's very different to being upright, to being grounded, to having an open body language. Even your hand posture, the mudras in yogic language, how you hold your hands together, how you grasp them and intertwine them, they all have a certain energetic frequency. And if you don't know what I mean by energetic frequency, and again, think of it like this. The action creates an output which affects the input. That is what I mean, right? I'm not speaking about pseudoscience of a weird idea of energy which you have no idea what it means. No, this is real. The energy which I speak of are waves. These are real waves which exist in existence. Some of these are physical waves, like physical brain waves, which are occurring right now. That's real, right? That's real. I can change my brain waves. The waves which flow throughout the brain are cybernetic. They're going to influence the next wave. I can do that. But there are also waves which are not just physical, but they are waves which are permeating or flowing through the fabric of existence itself. Certain actions which I do are literally changing the configuration of existence because existence is consciousness. That is why energy, in that sense, is a very real idea. There's a very real idea to a flow of energy, spiritual energy, and it is nothing more than consciousness. But it's a very particular type of consciousness. It is not just a loose being conscious, no, it's a concentration in a very particular way. There is an act of concentrating, an act of inner alignment. In the same way that I can align my spine and create consciousness, I can sit in a certain way, I can recite certain formulas. Recitation is perhaps the most powerful way. You want two things, to activate your body through posture, through motion, and you want to activate your mind through recitation and memorization. This is why every religion has an idea of worship. Worship is both physical and intellectual contemplation. That is what you should do. To create consciousness, you have to learn the ritual cycles of worship, like the Islamic salah, which literally means connection in Arabic. It is a ritual, it is a cyclic motion which activates the body, it activates the spine. There is recitation, there's a real intellectual absorption, there's an active concentration and presence. Doing that for one cycle, which might even take 2 minutes, can completely shift your level of consciousness. It can open up. You can go from low consciousness, boom, to high consciousness in 2 minutes. But you have to learn how to do that. And I think it has taken me probably 15 years to learn how to do that. Hence why I'm making this video and trying to give some, and this isn't the whole thing, there's way more to come for me to give you to really activate that. But it is possible. If my word means anything at all to you, it is possible. You can learn in 2 minutes to completely change your level of being, to go from ghafla, from pure heedlessness, into to complete concentration and wakefulness. It is possible, but it takes deep understanding of metaphysics, a deep, deep understanding of mind and body, which you must realize for yourself, but it can be guided by a teacher, can be guided by readings and recitations and activities. But you must ultimately realize this for yourself. You have this visceral realization. So learning rituals of worship. And again, this is why many people want to be spiritual, but not religious. However, the idea of religion and completely forget about people. I'm not talking about people at all. Forget that. Erase that from your mind completely. Pretend no one exists. I mean the intellectual structures of religions. That these structures are like the cup which holds that wine, that nectar and dew of heaven. The structure is important, and I think again this is where many people are going wrong. They don't have the structures. It's for this reason that your, class, your socio-economic background and upbringing so severely determines your future life because you inherit structures and ways of being from your parents, from your family, from your school, from your just the people around you, your environment. And those people who are materially successful, they understand reality to some degree. I mean, they understand physical reality somewhat. And so they naturally have structures which support and generate that. Right? Some people know how to generate wealth. Most people do not. And it comes back to knowledge, nothing else but knowledge. And this pertains to everything. So learn the rituals and the structures of worship and meditation. If you are only doing mindfulness meditation, this is again where you are going wrong. Mindfulness meditation is only one very shallow type of worship, of meditation, and spiritual practice. It's a component, and it is definitely not the whole thing, or even the most important thing. So again, this is where you have to study, you have to learn. There are rituals which can really completely change your level of consciousness. Two other important ones are rituals of personal purification. Washing yourself in a spiritual way. I don't just mean taking a shower, learning how to wash yourself. And I don't mean, memorize, for example, the idea of ablution, right? Wudu in Arabic. I don't mean just that. You have to understand it, right? You can watch and do whatever you want. You have to understand it. Most people do not understand. Don't just do, you have to really do this. Learn how to do that. So personal spiritual purification is incredibly powerful. Then, of course, changing one's diet holistically is very powerful. But if not that, at least in certain moments, one can create spiritual gravitas. For example, by drinking water in a conscious and spiritual way, or by drinking tea in a conscious and spiritual way, by abstaining from food and drink, learning how to fast. To learn how to fast, you have to learn how to do a micro fast. A micro fast it might last for half an hour. I mean, just being hungry and learning how to actively work through hunger. Next time you want lunch and you are hungry and cranky and angry and you really need something to eat, learn how to deal with that for just 15 minutes or half an hour. Learn how to skip a meal in the day. I don't mean becoming used to it, I mean wanting and needing something to eat, but actually not eating. Learn how to do that. Right? You will learn. It's not just doing it. I don't mean just fasting. It's not going to do anything. Right? Just fasting, just praying, just meditating doesn't do anything. That's why most people fail. You will need to understand the principle. Begin with the principle. Learn that. Imbibe that. Hmm. Another very powerful one are rituals of your room. Rituals of cleaning. Right? A 30-second ritual of cleaning can completely change your space. So putting certain structures into place by which you manage your surroundings, right? This is a systematical work. The more you do the systematical work, the more that the system opens up upon itself. So prayer is very important, a bodily and mental alignment, the physical purity of the body, and also the rituals of the house, rituals of environment. So inner and outer rituals. These are powerful ways to create and align to consciousness. Rituals of isolation, solitude, just separating yourself from a troublesome environment. One of the most powerful things. I mean, I'll maybe end this video here with this advice. You should have a ritual. You should build a space where, in any environment or place, a time or emotional state, you have a way out. You have a safe space. Ideally, you can literally go into your room, into your house or room. You have a space in that room which is dedicated for God. It's for you and for God. It's a safe space. It is always clean. You have a ritual about how to clean and brighten the space. Maybe light some candles or some incense, have some perfume or something, create a nice ambience, right? Wash yourself, just a quick wash. Wash your hands, wash your face with some cold water. Waken yourself up. Go to this space and do a 1 minute meditation and have a ritual. Have a formula which you speak out aloud. Incorporate this into your life. Build it into your life. Just this one thing alone. And again, you're going to say, this sounds obvious. Look, listen to me. If it were obvious, you would literally be enlightened right now. Because that's all it takes. That's all it takes. Realizing that the work is about increasing the baseline of your consciousness, not searching for peak experiences. Realizing that the entire work, therefore, is how to work through periods of low consciousness, which is exactly this. So if you truly had this down, you would not need this video. Your life would be perfect. You and I still have not completely incorporated this. You do not understand how advanced this is. Really, I don't think you do. I highly doubt that anyone watching this understands how advanced this is. People think this is obvious. All of reality is obvious from that perspective. Yet how many people go all the way? How many? But really doing this, you have to really listen to what I am saying here and understand how far deep down it goes. If you truly incorporate this 100%, because we all lie to ourselves, we are all deluded. If you truly incorporated this, your work will go all the way. And you really will make true progress in spirituality. Hmm. As a final word about this, there are metaphysical meanings here. There are profound words which exactly capture what I am saying. Words like dhikr, right? The idea of remembering. And I think there's a word in Sanskrit like dhyana or something like that. The dhikr is the word in Arabic. And it's a deep form of remembrance. It is exactly this, exactly this. A self-referential process of generating consciousness. Remembering consciousness creates that very consciousness. It is an inner act. It's like a turning, but it is a turning of the heart. To really learn to do this, it's like there's a nerve or a valve deep inside of you. It's not a physical thing, though it's related to certain physical parts of the body. But learning how to open and close this valve, how to turn and contract this inner nerve, that is exactly what the work is. It is only one thing which you need to do, which is involution, turning inwards and aligning to consciousness. It is literally like this. It's like you're here, then you align. I can't describe it more. It's exactly like that. It's like this, you align. As simple as that, right? In Salah, there's one act where when your palms are upon your thigh, you simply raise your index finger like this. It's like that. It's literally like this. It's as simple as this. Becoming enlightened is like being like that, and you're enlightened. Can you believe that? It's so subtle inside of you. There's an action that you can do. It's not a physical or a mental action, it's a spiritual action. It is incredibly subtle, but it activates consciousness. It does exactly this. It throws you into a new state of consciousness entirely, where you are God conscious. That means not only to be conscious of God, but your consciousness to be transfigured by God, to see and experience consciousness through God. If you can learn that, that is the entire work. Hmm. We shall end that there for today.